What's going on, everybody? Money Shot here with another God's Eye perspective for you of a public War of Rights match. War of Rights, of course, going to be a 300 player count, first person military roleplay combat sim set in the US Civil War. This is ticket style play, but not quite what you're used to, with War of Rights' unique morale system giving you buffs for staying in line, following the orders of your officer, and some pretty stiff penalties for your team if you are caught out alone on your own. Today's match is going to be Cook's countercharge, just a Confederate counter-assault following the Union push on Dunkirk Church. There's going to be quite a bit of open ground out there. This is an assault on a Union battery position. And despite the current frigid weather in War of Rights, the visibility today is going to be quite decent. Good amount of strategy needed for a CSA team to make this assault work for them with the amount of open ground that they have to cover in the face of the Union opposition. Before I say too much, let's just flip this over and let it unfold for you. But please, if you haven't yet and you are enjoying these, down below, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing. Share if you've got some friends, and I will check back in with you just before the map. Hope you enjoy this one. Looking across the field now as CSA, you can see them mustering and streaming across this open ground at this Union battery as they desperately attempt to shove canister in those guns and prepare to accept this charge. This is going to be Cook's countercharge. 43 on the map. We're just underway now. Union behind us was mustering up, and I believe they will probably be streaming onto the field just as quickly as the CSA team is. And it is now a race between artillerymen and officers to get their boys into position before the opening moves. And CSA really getting into position there on the slight rise. The first shots coming out by the Rebel team. And you can see the very, very slight advantage terrain-wise that the Rebels have over this battery. It is going to be a little bit difficult to make these shots now that they do not have anything loaded. And we're going to see some canister shots go out there. You see 4 people drop right away from that first canister shot. And I take my words back about it being a little bit difficult. This line really given a volley, a solidly put together battle line by the southern team here, firing into this Union battery. A bit of a play in depth here by the Union. You can see a reserve company up here on this back hill, and a battery guards company kind of up here defending the guns from just behind the caissons. These cannons really need to get roaring. They are not, and they're being drowned from high points around the battlefield. CSA calmly sitting up here and putting volleys down into what amounts to the larger, darker shadows from the distance that they're firing through the smoke.
If you have a canister,
oh, I see him.
And we'll see. We'll see how this goes out.
Maybe 10 yards above their heads.
I can't prime it.
There's also a line right there.
Holy shit, Jules.
If they're gonna
And these guns have got to get firing. Let's go. They are getting rocked here. You can see CSA are really forming.
Good hit.
Napoleon firing from a small skirmishing group on the right. You see his 3-inch was preparing to fire, is waiting for the volley. And this suppression from the volley is creating an immense amount of difficulty. You can see the canister shots ripping across the rise here. It doesn't make it into the line, however. He needs to aim that up just a little bit higher, it looked like. But he goes down swabbing his gun. And the Union battery officers are really trying to get something made here. You can see they are having some difficulty shooting up over this rise in the hill. CSA very adept at positioning terrain-wise on the battlefield. We've seen it a number of times on a number of different maps, and it is certainly working out in their advantage today. As the Union battery sits down here in a hole, or almost a bowl shape, if you will, to the terrain around them.
Did he hit that?
They honestly would be better off taking the time to move the cannons and allowing their infantry to really engage in some open field line tactics for a little bit. And CSA is going to now climb the back of the hilltop on this side and continue to pour into them. You can see them just calmly taking aim. They are using all the time in the world that they need to make their shots as well. There's really no pressure coming back their way from the Union team. And what started off as an attempt to make this relatively offensive battery has really become a defensive position, including the infantry, who are hiding behind the caissons as well. They do, however, still hold positions well in front of the point of contention, and CSA is going to have to make the moves that is going to get them through this Union line. You see holiday flags there cutting across the field. As we pull back, the proximity chat's blaring some party sounds. Volley going out right there, followed by a snowball. Largely lands into the rails of the fence line and might suppress, but did not bring anybody down. If CSA can move up any further, they're really not going to have to worry too much more about the Union cannons. I believe that is probably what their goal is here. They're getting pushed, however. On that, I guess it would be their left. They're countered, not pushed. Decently countered, blocking their attempts. They're not going to care. They're going to en masse come up the far side of the snake fence. Union's going to pull back and try to counter it again. this will pan out. I actually don't know how this will pan out for either side. The solid, solid battle line that we are so used to from the CSA team. And they just calmly sit there and decide their next move. While Union has now broken apart into multiple companies, really trying to take positions well back of the point of contention. These were pretty extreme withdrawals, and it's gonna really allow the CSA team to move up and take this small rise, if not, if not, really push out this battery. And they see him now. They're gonna try to push into this flank of this CSA movement, but they are very delayed in their response. They're actually going to pull away from the CSA team. And CSA is going to allow themselves to come right up in here and be enveloped on 3 sides there. You see how they are in a few different groups. You can see the main group up there right smack in the middle of the bulge, and there's probably, yeah, there's a flag kind of back here a ways in reserve. I'm not sure they realize though that they're still getting pressed slightly from the artillery area. But they are not concerned in the least, and they go back into formation and begin putting the fire out towards the Union front line here. Union front line relatively thin at this point, and we can probably say,
Oh my god.
they're pretty broken up. I'm actually not sure at what point the Union became so broken apart in this match, unless they're all still on artillery. Perhaps they all went artillery and they don't have enough people on rifles right now. CSA is really going to push up here and try to drive them back. It is going to condense Union, though. It's going to give them a little bit of an advantage as they pull back into each other and form a stronger line. But CSA's really got the troops in here, and they're going to come in and take the snake fence. And this skirmish is going to drive Union further back as they go to an engaged status. Are all but routed there by simple maneuvers by that CSA team. That ability to form that battle line and immediately put fire onto a target is something well desired in War of Rights, Napoleonic style battle, when your individual soldier is really only a tool for your officer. You see CSA really looking at terrain and moving to the topmost point here. They realize they have a long range duel to do, and so they take every advantage they can get off of high ground. And Union way back here now, trying to make something happen with some hay bales. Another Yankee unit here in this graveyard, trying to put some angle fire onto this rise in the terrain. As CSA's battle ready slowly begins to slip. Strange formations going on over here in the corn, and it looks like the Union battery is about to get charged out. If it's not spoiled first by the Union company that is guarding the battery. It largely gets broken up though, and Union begins turning their cannons towards the fence line. We might see a big effective blast here. Union's gonna get in the way though. They're not gonna shoot their own boys.
Very nice. Good.
And that charge gets broken. We'll see what's coming up here. Just oh, it's just like a muster of respawns as they load their kits and prepare to move out. You see Union preparing to volley up there at the top. But one boy fires early, and that gives away the position. And you can see they immediately reform their line into an effective direction of fire and volley. You can see a couple boys going down. 1, 2, 3 go down off of that volley at least. And there are reasons why we do not fire unless you're told to fire. And this unit's not going to charge. Oh, there's a small little bit of rebels back here.
Yeah, they're all dead. With me, at least.
Rambo just took me
Oh
out.
shit,
Rambo
we're getting
behind you.
charged.
It's the one regiment, not a Rambo, buddy.
Alright, go back.
And that skirmishing group is wiped. CSA comes back now all the way to this rise overlooking Union's battery. Actually, they're going to pull clear back to the initial battlefield. Both CSA regiments are going to reset, it looks like, and make a play for the battery maybe.
Alright, gentlemen, when you get ready, you're gonna bring it to the line. We volley again. You will be able to cut the grass and see them. Boys, bring it to the line. Hold.
Let's
hold,
go,
hold
let's
on the
go,
line, hold
everyone on the line.
Hold! You should not be aiming. I did not give the order. People are still running up. Hold. Oh! Alright, take aim. Take aim. You can see them all direct front. Tip of the crosshair at the chest. Steady.
And you see the discipline of the CSA line there. And officers not even allowing boys to aim before the orders are given.
Right in front of you, take aim at the cannons. Take aim. You can see them standing behind the cannons. Listen, aim for the head. Steady.
And another very decent volley coming out. And a return volley from the top of the hill. Only a few boys in this company though. And you see their shots kind of land in this in this hillside.
We stole their presents. We stole their presents.
Right, let's go.
Union goes to taking losses, and the entire CSA unit is going to shift. The entire CSA team is going to split and shift again. Being out here in the open is eventually going to catch up to this CSA team. You can see them start to fall here one by one by one by one, compared to the effectiveness of their volleys. A lot of blue on the ground here, but they have a lot more sitting back here behind these wagons. These wagons are armored, and they have active cannons in front of them just who do continue to put fire out. You can see a canister shell going out there, and it just touches the top of the CSA line, and they're going to shift around to reposition. Which will render the cannon's current aim useless and mute and force them to reset their cannon. And the order is going out across the Union front line to just continue firing. Solid orders, and they're faced with a open field and mini infantry. Nothing more they need to do, nothing more they should do. Just keep firing. Boys back here behind this picket fence. It's a long, long shot.
Down. Same target, same target. Aim right for the bellies. Take aim. Hold it fire. Take aim. Fire!
And you see that one shot landing right about here. And we are quite a ways
Sure doesn't want to push up.
We're losing. We're engaged. They're taking losses.
across this
No,
field.
it's not that. They're taking losses at 22. They should be breaking by now. Boys, at the double or get your bayonets.
Right in front of you. Now you can see him better.
And a slow charge up the hill here in order to get a decent volley off. And they rip right across the ground. You can see a couple balls hitting right there as in the dirt.
Where?
Everybody.
Case. It's case.
They're gonna come up.
Yeah.
But I believe they're really only firing at individual shapes that they can see through the blades of grass. And these volleys are pretty random. Terrain being so much of the battle.
Yes.
Let's see if we can get head high here.
I see. You gotta get back to. Oh, I'm dead. Take over the body. Turrets.
And you can see they really can't see much. Maybe a head here and a flag there. And those shots are largely going to go into the dirt.
Northwest. Oh, yeah,
They're
there's
coming
one
behind
west.
us. They're coming behind us. Coming
West.
behind us. That's him.
You got a large formation wheeling over here as they turn to meet the CSA line as it's now split, and half of them have moved back towards the point of contention. You could hear a little bit of frustration earlier in the officer and how he Now, he didn't see that this was unfolding fast enough for his liking, and he has moved a considerable amount of troops up into the face of the Union, right here on the, almost to the point of contention here. Unlike last time, Union did not choose to fall clear back, and they are all going to be back here just behind their battery. We will see if this causes the battery to completely get charged at this point. It should, if the CSA is paying attention.
Take aim, gentlemen. Take aim. Ready?
Alright, gentlemen, ceasefire. They went back behind the hill.
Yep. Maybe not. I would have
That was
assumed at this point a naked artillery battery would be ripe for a 20 plus man infantry line. I am not leading.
Just like this. Here, I'll show you.
However, they may not push in here for fear that they're going to be countercharged. Who knows? Not sure. They might push it to that battery anyway from the other side here. You can see them creeping up this fence line. Union now pulling way back to the next fence, leaving their battery. Well, nope, they're slowly forming up there to counter this. They slightly expect it. And here they come.
Run, safe.
I want to stab somebody.
Here they come, and this battery is now silenced. And the second rebel line now pushing up to the fence row behind the movements of the rest of their team. And Union now preparing to keep these rebels well away from the point of contention now. They are breaking to the CSAs, taking losses. You can hear a decent volley rip across the valley there, and then CSA returns with their own. Facing two large and well put together infantry lines here, it's going to be pretty difficult for the CSA team to charge in here and take command of this point. And we're going to see them come up with some kind of plan to attempt to do just that. I would imagine they may try to hopscotch or leapfrog-esque something along this fence line. But I'm not sure that that's going to be doable given the numbers and the terrain that we are looking at. You can see them really streaming around the back of the map there. Left of center as they try to get around to that other field. It's not going to give them a better position, if you ask me. Unless they're going to attempt something off of this snake fence. Couple boys go down off of that volley. It's a very long volley through some pretty thick brush there.
Press 2, get your snowballs out. Get out of here. Okay, we're good.
and they are doing exactly what I thought they were going to do. They're going to leapfrog their regiments down the fence rows here and attempt to use terrain to their advantage. You can see if they can get over here far enough, they can push in utilizing the rise here and push right into the flank of the line. This other unit of Yankees really needs to watch in case they need to counter that. The other option here is going to be an large mass charge across this field into that Yankee line. And we'll see how this one pans out. As it sits right now, both teams content to just sit there and whittle away at each other. This is the final field. This is the point of contention. And neither team can really afford now to lose their positions. If they do, Union will likely lose the match. And if CSA does, they will probably not be able to get back into this position before they lose the match themselves.
Red or something. Oh, my bad. Oh, we keep doing it, boys. We keep doing it. We're having fun.
I'm gonna go check up here. Give me a second.
We gotta be west, north, guys.
For sure.
13 left, breaking now, slipping away from the Union. And this line really becoming thin. CSA shifts again. They see the thinned out line and they're going to use the terrain to really get up close into these rocks and skirmish fire right into this line.
If you want to stay there, you can charge the reload. I don't mind that. Aim at the stomach on the stomach.
Aim at the stomach.
What the fuck?
Crouch.
While it was thin, the line still had quite a few troops in it, and it was skirmished out decently, so they aren't losing that many compared to a normal infantry line, and a lot of these rebel boys go down almost immediately on these rocks.
Oh fuck!
You see a lot of movement down here to the right, and a full-on charge coming in from the other rebel regiment as they push into the field, into the meadow here. They don't go very far in, however, and choose to stop short and continue line infantry. CSA artillery singing. They must have, or Union artillery, that is. Nope. What? I don't know. I guess I don't know. All we saw were rebel boys when we went over there, so I don't know what that was. And battle lines really starting to form up here, and we know once the CSA gets their lines formed up, they're pretty tough to dislodge. Last stand for the Union, and that circle begins to open as they start to give up this advantage. that they had in this meadow. You see a lot of repositioning and Union having to pick up their flags. And CSA gets deeper and deeper into this meadow. 10:24 on the clock now. Skirmishing groups from what you can call high ground from both Union companies, and a real hard attempt to keep battle lines on the CSA side of the field. One CSA company now making a push. They're pushing right out in front, however, of a Union infantry line. Where they're going, I'm not sure yet. They're gonna try to charge out the top of this little hill.
Those guys know. Right, if you're still
Are we gonna get?
And they're gonna be successful. Nobody saw them coming. Nobody alerted anybody else as they started fighting themselves. They simply went down. And this Union company has been wiped. That forces the other Union regiment over here to counter it, and at the same time then that is exploited by the rest of the CSA team. They're going to drive the Union right out of the meadow, and unfortunately I don't think that's going to be recoverable for the Union. And you can see them trying to make something back here,
Holy fuck. Okay.
but there's just not enough of them left. Flag bearers going down. Every flag that goes down means a rifle gets silenced. As a rifle goes down to pick up the flag that's on the ground, there goes another one. They're gonna have to keep pulling back. There's nothing they can do at this point, and on this crisp winter day, we will see the CSA now cruise to the end. You see, overwhelm the last little bit of Union there, and that'll close it out. All right, let me pull it back here. You watched it unfold. CSA's ability to form and then maintain those solid infantry lines really allowed them then to maneuver around the battlefield as they needed to eventually flank and overwhelm that Union battery, which then opened the door to the meadow and history beyond. Good job, CSA, and I will leave you with the map.
Advanced into the open towards the Muma farm with the expectation that the other regiments positioned in the West Woods would push with them. Instead, the two regiments went forward alone to face the entire Union 6th Corps. However, they managed to surprise and capture a large number of Yankees in their wild onrush as the other Union regiments fell back past the orchard behind the smoldering Muma farmhouse. This meant the Union regiments near the sunken lane were then in danger of being flanked from behind.
All right, guys, as usual, one last time, and thank you for watching. If you haven't yet and you do enjoy these, down below, give me that like and subscribe. Give me that follow for sure. Help me bring these to you live. And until next time, I'll see you on the field.